Project Sister. There she is! The homeowner. Okay, so this is, oh, she's going back the other way. Wow. So Project Sister is a full-scale renovation and addition in the East End of Toronto. And it's for my sister and my brother-in-law and their 3 kids, woo! The goal with this project is to create more room for their growing family. So their existing house is a beautiful, detached home on a lovely lot in a great neighborhood that they love. Challenge was, it really wasn't big enough for their family as they were getting older, and they also all shared 1 bathroom on the 2nd floor. 3 kids, 2 adults, 1 bathroom? Absolutely not. So we initially started and stopped this project multiple times. Initially when they bought the house, they were thinking about doing a renovation right away. But then Jenna ended up having another baby, and then that was kind of put on pause for a bit. And then we talked about doing a little kitchen update right before the baby was born. Classic nesting mom. 2 months before the baby was born, we on a whim decided to renovate the kitchen. I fully got involved in that disaster of an idea. And then we quickly realized this was not a good strategy, and we needed to pause. So in the end, we decided to do a major renovation all at once and really do all of the things required to make the house perfect for their family for the next 10-15 years. If you're gonna move out once, do it right. We recommend this to clients all the time. The idea of doing things in phases is appealing, but at the end of the day, you're gonna spend more money, not only on housing to move out both times, but also on trades coming back, and the same trades doing renovation 1 are gonna be doing renovation 2, and they're gonna be charging you maybe 20% more in all for both renovations because you're doing it all at separate times. So at the end of the day, if you can make it happen, the ideal scenario is to move out once and do the whole renovation at one time. And in the end, we decided the best way to get the best function was gonna be to add a full addition on the back of the house. So in the basement, the goal was to get a family room that would have nice ceiling height, because the existing ceiling height is pretty low, and really create a family room, rec room, exercise, workout room in the back of the house. So what we did in this case was actually just underpin the new room. So the new room under the addition has full 8-foot ceiling heights, but we left intact the existing basement, which saved a ton of money. And also the reality is you really don't need a full 8-foot high basement. What you really need is the rec room and the hangout space to be the good ceiling height. That's gonna be rec room, workout space, playroom, really where all the kids' junk can go. So really on the basement, that was the only change that we made. On the main floor, however, we made a lot of changes. The original floor plan of the house, you walked into a pretty small hallway with a teeny tiny powder room off to the left that had a frosted glass door, which is highly questionable as a person who's used this bathroom in the past. Very, very small powder room, and then the stairs were right behind it, and then to your right was the living room, which was a pretty decent size with a lovely wood-burning fireplace, and then behind that was the dining room, which was actually the biggest room on the main floor, and then to the side, kind of in front of you when you enter, was the kitchen. The kitchen was a bit awkward. It kind of had a U-shaped counter with then a peninsula with the sink was on. The storage was not great. All of the lowers were doors, not drawers, so it was very hard to find anything in those deep low cabinets. And overall, the function of the space was really not ideal. It also had been installed quite a while ago and was looking pretty worse for wear. It took a lot of... It's Jenna coughing. They had also, as a design feature in the old kitchen, exposed the outside wall of the house to show the brick. Now that is really a nice idea and really cool in theory, but we live in Toronto, where in the winter, it hits -30 on a regular basis. And -30 with just an exposed brick wall and no insulation, very, very cold. We've done in the past where clients want to have the exposed brick look. We do a fully insulated wall, and then we use like reclaimed brick veneer to create the look of the original brick wall, but without having the challenges of exposing the original brick wall and having the insulation issues. Because at the end of the day, it's pretty important that your house stays warm in the winter and cool in the summer. So we started looking at plans for the main floor. The first thing we did was to add a 15.5-foot addition onto the back of the house. We considered a lot of different options for that addition. Would it be the kitchen? Would it be the living room? Since that room is gonna have the best light in the house, we wanted to make sure that that was gonna be the main hangout space. So we identified pretty early on that that would be ideally the living room, family room right at the back of the house, because that's where you're gonna spend all your time, and that's gonna have amazing light and be really well connected to the lovely deck and backyard. We considered a bunch of different versions for the rest of the main floor. In one version, the kitchen had a peninsula and a smaller island. We really liked that idea as well, but it did cut off the space between the family room and the kitchen. It was a little more closed in because you didn't have that open flow of traffic going right through to those amazing big back doors. One of the priorities for my brother-in-law was to have really big back doors, really big glass across the back wall. So what we've ended up doing is doing 14 feet of floor to ceiling glass all across the back wall. That's gonna have really great connection and flow to the backyard and also bring in a ton of light to the back of the house. We also tried a bunch of different versions for the powder room. We tried a larger powder room kind of at the end of the hallway, and then we also tried a smaller one using the extra space to create a coat room. The idea is, I don't know if any viewers out there have young kids, but there's a lot of stuff. They come in the house with a lot of things, especially in our climate where we have winter. So we've got snow pants, blankets, hats, mitts, coats, backpacks, all of that stuff needs somewhere to be stored on the main floor. And in most Toronto houses, as every Toronto resident will tell you, you step into the living room. Not helpful. So we really wanted to create a proper foyer and really use that space to build in a ton of storage. But we wanted to be hidden storage so that you're not walking into the foyer and really seeing all this junk in front of you. So we used the wall between the foyer and the dining room to bump cabinetry into the dining room to create added depth in those walls to house all of our coats. So when you step in the front door, on your right is a full 2-foot deep coat closet that would be built as millwork that's flush with the wall. And then there's the opening to the dining room. On the opposite side of the opening, there's another built-in 2-foot deep section of millwork that will house mail drop, charging station, bits and bobs, and more drawers for storage. The bulk of your closet storage is right in that front hall, but it's all hidden. So it's neat and tidy, even when the kids have dumped all their crap in it. On the other side, where the teeny tiny powder room is, there is going to be a bench with a bunch of hooks above. That's really where you put things you need to quickly grab as you're coming and going from the house. And it was really important to build as much coat storage as possible, so we like this idea of adding this tiny cloak room at the end of the hall, which is basically like a dumping ground that when the door is closed, we can't see any of the stuff that's in there, and it's all neat and tidy. 5 people and a 4-season climate equals a lot of shoes, and we want to make sure there's going to be space for all of those shoes to live, but also not that we're looking at them all the time. Messy. Picture a family of 5 entering a very narrow space. It was a real cluster. Can we beep that? Cluster. There wasn't any room to move forward, and there wasn't any room to take off your stuff, and even once you got your coat off, there was nowhere to put it. There was no hooks, there was no storage whatsoever. So really a main goal for this renovation was to create a better entrance, a better hallway, and additional storage. Jenna also kept her recycling bins in that hallway, so it's also tight. A lot of shoes, a lot of shoes. I told her you just get rid of half of your shoe collection, and that would solve the problem, but she didn't go for it. She decided instead to renovate.
Or get rid of a child.
Or get rid of a child. A big change that we made on the main floor was relocating 3 of the stairs to the basement. In the original plan, the stairs to the basement came out at a 90-degree angle, so you started to go down towards the stairs and then you would turn 90 degrees and go towards the basement. What we did was straighten out that run of stairs. By doing that, we created a lot more space on the main floor that we could then incorporate into our powder room and cloakroom area, as opposed to having these stairs intersect the main floor. This also gave us the option to have a long foyer hallway, which gave us that extra storage and also gave us a nice clear delineation of where our tile goes and where we transition to hardwood. I love the idea that when you come in the front door, kids are playing outside. If someone needs to use the washroom, they can come in with shoes on and get right into the powder room and go right back outside without going into hardwood. Again, in our climate, it's important to consider weather, like if it's gonna be cold or rainy, you don't wanna have to take your shoes off to go use the powder room. That's just annoying. With this plan, we wanted to create a formal dining room, but we also wanted to have a space for everyday eating. And instead of having stools at the island, we went with a banquette. Surprise, surprise! I love a banquette. It's the most comfortable. And in this scenario, it's pretty awesome because the banquette also faces the fireplace and faces the family room. So in the whole open family room area, you also have a spot to sit and work on a laptop, have a snack, have a meal, do some coloring or crafts if you are a child or an adult with an interest in crafts. Either one. We also did a plan that had a walk-in pantry. The idea is really appealing, a walk-in pantry. I feel like people are really drawn to it lately, but the reality is it really only works if you have a lot of extra space. The plan that we created with the walk-in pantry was great, but we really had to give up a lot of function on the opposite side of the kitchen to make that work. So with that layout, you would have a much smaller kitchen proper, but the walk-in pantry would be providing the bulk of the storage for the items that you don't have room to store in the kitchen. I think it's a really great concept, and I think in a lot of situations it could work really nicely. This particular layout, we decided it wasn't worth it because it was kind of just gonna get cluttered, and we'd rather use that space for a little cloakroom rather than having a separate pantry. We also have room for overflow food in the basement, so we don't really need the walk-in pantry. But with the plan we ended up with, we actually have multiple pantries. We ended up going with layout plan A with the powder room and coat closet of plan B. With this plan, we end up with 2 pantries in the kitchen, which is great. We end up with a nice island, but we opted not to do seating at the island because realistically, we have seating at the banquette, which is just beside the island. And the reality is, I personally, and I believe most people, would choose to sit in a comfy banquette or a comfy chair versus a stool. Ergonomically, it's more comfortable, especially for kids. I'm always concerned about kids falling off the stools because they're not the sturdiest. We also considered an option of adding on a mudroom onto the front porch, basically enclosing half of the front porch to create a mudroom. And while that was a great idea and would have added a lot of storage, it would reduce light into the front hall, but also we were already doing the addition out the back. So then adding an addition out the front, even though it's not a big addition, significantly increases the budget. In the end, we decided we could get everything we needed from this newly configured hallway and with our revised stairs, and we didn't need that front addition. The second floor, the goal was to get 3 great kids' bedrooms, a bathroom for the kids, an ensuite, a kick-ass principal bedroom, and if space would allow, a laundry room. Second floor laundry, the holy grail of parents everywhere. And to be honest, I only drew up 1 plan for the second floor because I nailed it on the first try. Mic drop. I mean, yeah, no, it was good. As you can see, we've achieved all the goals here. We've got 3 great kids' bedrooms. We've got a big kids' bathroom with a separate water closet. I feel like that's an ideal situation for both adults' bathrooms and kids' bathrooms to have the toilet in a separate room. This way, kids can be brushing their teeth and getting ready for bed while another kid is using the bathroom. But again, as the kids grow older and as they become awkward teens that want weird privacy for their awkward body hair, it's nice to have the water closet in a separate room. That was a good take and then you laughed. She's ruining it! One of the things Jenna really wanted on her second floor was laundry. It's the dream. It's every parent's dream. Instead of dragging all the clothes down to the basement and then dragging them all back up, they all stay on the same floor the whole time. We managed to fit that in here. We've got an awesome laundry room with side-by-side washer and dryer, countertop on top for folding, and then deep storage above for extra linens, cleaning products, etc. Living the dream in this scenario. That's why I only did one plan. In all of our projects, we really want to think about how your needs are going to change as time goes on. This renovation isn't designed just to work for you in the next year, it's designed to work for you in the next 15 years, depending on what your long-term plans are for your house. We definitely have some clients who plan on moving and they don't plan on being there forever, and with that scenario, we want to keep in mind what might appeal to other buyers. But in this case, this is going to be their house for a really, really long period of time through kids' teenage years, so they're going to be there for at least another 15 years. So the goal is to make sure that as the kids get older and as everybody's needs change, we're still ticking all the boxes and the renovation is still going to be fully functional. Now that we have the perfect plan for Jenna's renovation, we're gonna focus on all the finishes and all the pretty. On the next episode, we're gonna show you guys all the finishes we picked, including an amazing 3D rendering of the finished space. Okay, we're done.